One leader saying, communicating or telegraphing, we're trying to moderate things, while another is calling for a global coalition against Israel.
Iran is in disarray. They've been severely weakened by these strikes. And some of the critics of the administration or even of Israel will say, Israel could have done more. They could have taken out more. They could have had broader strikes against Iran. Actually, I think these were pretty brilliant because they hit Iran where it hurts the most. They took out some of their key sites, specifically anti-aircraft sites. So literally by definition, the most defended sites in Iran, the things that they try to use to shoot down enemy airplanes, those are gone. Iran is very exposed now, and that weakness is showing through in the disarray in their government.
Yeah, the attack also didn't just take out critical Iranian military sites. It exposed the weakness of Russian air defense systems, which stopped few, if any, of the Israeli missiles.
That's right. And these attacks specifically on the drone facilities, these manufacturing facilities for drones, will not only help keep Israeli citizens safe, because it's going to limit Iran's capacity to produce more of these drones to attack Israel. It's also limiting their capacity to produce drones for Russia's illegal war in Ukraine. So it's saving Ukrainian lives as well.
How concerned, though, are you about, I mean, it just feels like we're just at near that boiling point. And if Iran is, in fact, in disarray, we are getting strange, conflicting messages out of the country from different leaders. If it does spin into a wider war, it's going to involve the United States.
Let's be clear. It is not in the national security of the interests of the United States to get drawn into another war in the Middle East. It's absolutely against our interests. And so when you hear that the administration is trying to de-escalate things, that's because it's in our interests to de-escalate. We also do not want to see Israel embroiled in a larger war in the Middle East. We want to see Israel take targeted attacks like they've done against Hezbollah to take out their terrorist enemies, but not get involved in a bigger war. No one really wants that. But I was recently in the Middle East meeting with a lot of leaders, and one leader of a country there, he put it this way. He said, each side is trying to walk the line, walk right up to the line where they can do what they can to retaliate but not provoke a wider conflict. And his concern is they're not always sure exactly where that line is.
Yeah, there's a lot of, or how far their allies are willing to go. I want you to get your reaction to something a former State Department official in the Obama administration said about Israel. He says it's Israel, not the United States, that is calling the shots in the Middle East right now. He said this is not a good place for the United States to be in. He said the core assumption right now of Israel is that in a wider war, the United States will be doing the fighting. The United States is sleepwalking into another long-term conflict into the Middle East.
No, I don't think that's fair. Having been on the ground in Israel and in several other countries in the Middle East over the past couple of weeks, I can tell you that that our representatives, our diplomats, our military representatives, our intelligence officials in the region are very careful about exactly what's going on. They are clear about America's interests, and they're doing whatever they can to make sure that there's no daylight between us and the Israelis. That goes both ways. It's not just about us staying close to the Israelis. It's about Israel staying close to us. And if you look at their attack that they just carried out, it was very closely aligned with exactly what the administration said they wanted. So, look, it is a dangerous situation. It is a tense situation. But I think that America is working hard to make sure that we're staying closely aligned with our allies and preventing a wider war.
If this attack over the weekend did, though, hew closely to what the United States was pressuring Israel to do, there have been many, many examples in the last few months and many outright declarations of frustration by President Biden about how often Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu does not listen and does not take the guidance and advice. And I think that is what this former diplomat is talking about, that it is Netanyahu in the driver's seat here, not President Biden. And as a result, but there's this expectation that we will be there if this does explode into a bigger conflict.
Well, look, it's a fair criticism. I've been critical of the prime minister specifically for some of the ways that he's carried out the war, repeating some of the same mistakes that we made in Iraq and Afghanistan during the early stages of that counterinsurgency, when we didn't really have a long-term plan for success, including a political endgame. We needed to focus on that more, and I think Prime Minister Netanyahu does too. There's a lot of people who are saying, including people within his own cabinet, within his own military and intelligence services, who are saying you need a political endgame for Gaza, as one example. So
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.